Hi, and welcome back to Wicked Wands Tarot. My name is Carmen, and today we've got a reading for you about somebody who has been trying to make up their mind. They've been a bit indecisive, weighing the pros and cons, trying to determine the right path forward. But with the Two of Swords in the reverse, they have figured out a plan. They have made a decision, and Nine of Wands is about action. So now that I've made my decision, it's time for me to move, to, go talk to this person, maybe confess some feelings. So let's call in spirit with a little bit of wind chime time. I hope you're having a good day so far. Hello, Carrie. Hello, Speeding Disposition. What's up? If you're interested in a personal reading, I would love to do one for you. My email address is wickedwandstarot@gmail.com. That's in the description box for you, as is more information on how to become a member. Thank you to the current members. If you are in the stars or the towers, which are the top 2 tiers of the membership, we do have a members only live stream in just under an hour. So I hope to see you there. Hello, Nil. How you doing? All right, let's dive in. We're going to start with the gold foil tarot. What else do we have? Wheel of Fortune, 8 of Pentacles, Empress. Okay, that's very positive. So we have someone who feels like they have worked on the things that they feel they needed to. Maybe it isn't perfect, but it's approaching where they wanted it to be. So things seem to be changing in this person's favor. If I felt I needed to get my finances under control, that's what I'm making progress on. If I felt like I needed to work on my emotional maturity, then that's what I have, felt like I've made progress on. So this is feeling good about yourself, feeling like you have a decent amount to offer someone in the context of a romantic relationship. Hey, Kim Seamus, welcome back. We've got 8 of Swords in the reverse and King of Pentacles, 3 of Wands. So I don't feel restricted by anything. There's nothing that is holding me back from pursuing something serious. So I'm going to take action. 3 of Wands is about action, waiting for the right moment, but waiting for the right moment that I think has already or has just arrived. So they're feeling pretty confident, not just about themselves, but also the connection that they find themselves in. Hello again, Dana. Ooh. 5 of Swords. 3 of Pentacles and the reverse and the 3 of Swords. So the things that have been addressed are pertaining to where maybe they went wrong in the past. Maybe I was associating with the wrong types of friends. Maybe I had pursued the wrong type of love interest. Maybe it was a little too easy for me to self-sabotage. But at least there is this acknowledgement, right? I know what was getting in the way. I know what was causing the problems. And I've learned from those situations. Hello, Darnell. How are you doing? What else? Emperor, 10 of Wands in the reverse, and Temperance. This is really beautiful. Now, it would be pretty easy to look at the Empress and the Emperor as different individuals, divine counterparts, especially because we're talking about a love reading. But this is the same person. This is like the intro to who is making this confession of love. This is someone who has felt stressed out, who has maybe dealt with some anxiety or been kind of overthinking whether or not things would get to a point where they could be in this healthy connection, or they could find somebody that, treated them the right way. But what they did first is deal with themselves. So because there was an emphasis placed on healing, because they did work to address the baggage they might have been bringing along with them, they are in the right place. They attract the right type of energy. And it's because they've balanced out this experience and pain and feminine and masculine and what they want and who they are. This is someone who really knows themselves. So whoever you are, well done. All right, this is the Earth and Bone Oracle. What else do we have? The Stand. Courage, determination, fearlessness. If you saw the title, then you know that this fits. We have someone who's saying, you know what? I think this is it. I think this is what I want. I feel good. They are awesome. So what are we waiting for? Maybe we should just make this a thing. Ambition, determination, willpower, creation, and focus. Maybe it wasn't always easy to communicate about emotions or pursue somebody for a serious relationship. Maybe there was a lot of other messes in their life that they felt they needed to deal with first. But we have someone who's feeling like everything's kind of aligning at this point. Hello, Third Eye. How are you doing? Door to personal healing and happiness. Yeah, I mean, we had Temperance, right? That's about finding a balance. So I know that maybe things got a little bit out of hand in my life with this Five of Swords, but I looked within. I, assessed the connections in my life. I maybe had to go through a bit of a hermit phase, had to learn some lessons, but now I feel like I'm ready. Now I feel like I'm in a good place. And then I meet this other person who seems to have gone through the same type of spiritual awakening, and it seems like this is meant to be. So they're thinking it's time to express these emotions. All right. This is the Noisy Tarot. Let's see, we have King of Swords in the reverse, the Devil, and Ace of Wands in the reverse. We might have had somebody who was a bit negative. We might have had somebody who was always expecting things to go poorly. Someone who was starting to question whether or not love would have anything in store for them at all, or if it was just going to be a bunch of fake outs, a bunch of, oh, I thought that was going somewhere, and then I discovered what's wrong with them. Or then I discovered that, they're still hanging out with their ex. So a little bit of frustration and exhaustion dealing with people who would not put in what they should, or who were more of a take type. Four of Pentacles, Three of Swords in the reverse, Nine of Swords, and the Fool. I'm so proud of you. A tendency to hold back or not communicate, deal with your problems on your own has maybe been one of the more recent things that you've tackled, or your person. And this is contributing to, now I feel like what had previously brought me anxiety, or where I was, maybe a little bit prone to assuming the worst. Now there's more of a hopeful, hey, this might actually go well. I feel good about this situation. I feel like I can trust this person, and I feel like I can trust myself. Page of Swords, Ace of Swords, Seven of Cups. So where there was previously, more of an illusion when I thought of love, when I thought about the people that I could potentially be in love with, it seemed rather underwhelming. They'd been disappointed by a number of connections, but now they feel like they understand why everything happened the way that it did, so that they would be who they are now when they met you or when you met them. All right, let's get a few from the Tarot of the Cat people. Queen of Wands, Ace of Swords in the reverse, Three of Swords. I do think that there's someone who has been blocked, someone who is no longer able to access the Empress Emperor. So a major accomplishment or ability to kind of like cleanse the environment is blocking this person from the past that had hurt them, where maybe there were a few cycles. Hey, April, how's it going? We've got the High Priest in the reverse, Four of Wands in the reverse. Yeah. Part of my ability to be open to this unexpected connection is that I finally accepted someone from my past was not going to step up their game and actually be emotionally available. When I realized there were other fish in the sea, that made it more likely that I could actually find a happy connection. So no longer focused on one person. All my dreams have to happen with this person. Nope, that's not how it is anymore. It's if I find someone else, then that's how it goes. King of Cups in the reverse. Nine of Wands in the reverse. And the Tower in the reverse. Yeah. I see somebody who was maybe even a little bit obsessed or maybe just distraught, brokenhearted, and feeling like they didn't want to let anybody else have access to them like that again. But they've been able to separate off whatever that person did or whatever that connection was. They don't want to blame future people for those things, right? I'm not going to hold a grudge. I'm not going to assume the worst. What else? Five of Swords in the reverse, Two of Cups in the reverse, Temperance, Queen of Cups. That's really beautiful. I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm not going to let this breakup or broken heart from my past make it impossible for me to find happiness. And Temperance, again, indicating finding a balance in life. So I'm letting go of this ex. I'm not going to think about that situation. I'm not going to let that prevent me from recognizing the beauty in others or the lovable features of others. So this Temperance is about maybe there's someone else out there that I could be happy with. And Queen of Cups, that sense of I'm like ready to love someone. I'm not scared of it. I'm not going to run away from it. I've worked through those issues. This is the Truth Is. Hey, Key Controller, how are you doing? Hello, Roland. Side piece, seeing someone on the side, soulmate. So, a big concern here has been being able to trust someone to be faithful. So, there's a little bit of fear that remains. I think it's probably impossible to get rid of all fear. It's just whether or not you can master your emotions regarding that fear. But there is infidelity that happened at some point that has this person or had this person kind of struggling. We do also have some family issues, maybe a difficult divorce with the parents, or maybe even some drama with the siblings. But a divorce and family problems may have complicated their ability to approach a relationship with an open mind or with like hope. All right. This is the Kipper. What else do we have? Twice before 8:30 a.m. All right, what else do we have? Journey and community. Great fortune in the reverse. There was a loss of community, probably because of a divorce or a breakup, right? This could be one of those things where my heart was broken because I was in a relationship where we had like the whole thing, right? We were living together, we had a pet. I was best friends with your brother, you were best friends with my cousin. I don't know, like there was this, we were really together. And then all of a sudden, when the relationship ended, I felt like I lost everything else in my life as well. So, kind of like a waterfall effect where one loss led to another, maybe even impacting the group of friends. So, we have main male and message of concern. Despair in the reverse. So there's someone who's reaching out to this Emperor, Empress energy. Does not have to be a man or a woman, even though we did have man holding a heart and main male. That could also be the object of affection, right? This is saying that we have somebody who's being contacted by a friend. Maybe they're worried about this person. Hey, I haven't seen you. Hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything okay? Feeling like maybe some announcement or maybe some, maybe it's the anniversary of a divorce or whatever. There's this concern like, hey, are you really okay? And I think they end up getting one of the best updates from this individual that they have in a long time. In other words, this is someone who feels happy and in love. And I think they kind of surprise this friend or family member with this news, with this update. All right, this is A Gamer's Ways. Shout out to Jess. Hello, Vikrant, how you doing? Yup. What else? We have dialogue options and main character. A good conversation is the result of good judgment. Being able to hold attention for both emotion and context leads to more positive outcomes for all involved. If you're facing a decision, you likely already know the best answer. Main character. There is no question as to why you were chosen for leadership on this mission. You know the value of being fierce in all pursuits, be that loyalty and compassion or competence and tenacity. A well-rounded warrior. I think this is somebody who is feeling at their best. Maybe it's not perfect, like I said in the beginning, but we had the Eight of Pentacles moving to the Empress, which is like, I feel like finally things are falling into place where they need to be. Maybe my money's better. Maybe I feel better about my workplace. Maybe, just the fact that I've met somebody who seems to appreciate the things about myself that are, super authentic, whatever. They're feeling good. And they share this with a friend or a family member. And I think someone is pleasantly surprised. Third person. It goes without saying that the nice thing about having camera control is the ability to change your perspective and see things differently. It is recommended that you explore all modes of perception available to you to progress. And when they talk to this friend or family member, I think they talk about this relationship very positively and ask if it's, I don't know, ask for advice in some way. Like, how should I do this? Should I say that? Should I take them here? I feel like this is, oh, I forgot. I rearranged where my cards are. I feel like this is looking for someone who they trust to kind of validate or confirm what their plan is. That's funny. Hello, Matt. How are you doing? What else? We've got prison, child, and love. I think this is someone asking if it seems like it's the right time to say that they're in love, because love came out in the reverse, but we also have prison going to child, which is like someone who feels like guilty or stressed or stuck, feeling like hope or love or there's a new beginning. Now, there could also be a desire to start a family, but I'm seeing this more so as somebody who feels like they have a second chance at love or like a new chapter in their life is starting. So the question is, when do I say that I love someone? We have doctor, friend, and cheerfulness. This friend or family member comments on how the mood of this person seems to have lifted or is improved. Comments on maybe even their health or their mental health, and says this seems to be like a really good thing for you. I think this cheerfulness card is a reference to maybe like a fancy dinner or an event. Yeah, make it special, but I don't think you have to wait. It sounds like you two are in a great place. So this friend or family member is approving and suggesting, like, go for it. That's funny. What else? 7 of Cups. The Hermit. And Judgment in the reverse. So they haven't made this decision quite yet. They have this conversation and it kind of cements their plan. But they do feel like they have, it's like they're giddy, but they want to make sure that they're not like seeing things the wrong way. Like, is this what you would do? Another reference to Temperance. So we could have Sagittarius in your chart or your person's chart. I just think this is a reference to the fact that you're a great couple. It's a good match of energies. 10 of Rupees or 10 of Pentacles in the reverse. And death, transition, rebirth. Yeah, things are starting over. This is somebody who has felt like they lost that group of people around them, that support system, that sense of family. So it could have been heavily tied to a previous relationship, but they're feeling like things are getting back to a place where they don't feel alone or isolated. They feel like they have connections. They feel like they have people who, ask how their day is, that kind of thing. Hello, Capo. How you doing? So Chariot, fast-moving energy. I'm ready to say it. I got confirmation from this person that I talked to. 8 of Pentacles in the reverse, Strength in the reverse. Uh-oh. I think they're being told to not overthink it. Like, you're going to feel nervous about it. You're going to feel like, you're nervous and scared and you don't know how they're going to respond. But, like, that's like every time, right? With that first reveal. So I think this is just someone like giving them some really sweet advice on how to move things to the next level within their relationship, or if it is like the right time for that. Oh, thank you, Nell. I appreciate that. I'll do just a few more for the general reading and then tackle those for you. Hello, Renata. How you doing? So we've got metamorphosis, rebirth, right? And seasons. It's a new chapter. It's a new part of this person's life. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel. Transformation, change, renewal, revolution, rebirth, cycles, elements, spring, summer, fall, winter. It's the season of love. It's so corny. Serenity, ease, tranquility, peace, drift, and silence. There's something that makes this connection seem more, I don't know, long lasting, is there's this sense of peace. Like there isn't arguing, there isn't conflict, there isn't jumping to conclusions. There's a willingness to believe in the other person and benefit of the doubt, all of that stuff, right? So this seems really positive. They're gearing up to say what they want to feel or what they do feel. All right. I'm going to use the Everyday Tarot for your questions now. I know you tell me your name is Suvik and then I keep calling you Nell. All right. So what are Geet's feelings for Suvik, please? Death, 5 of Cups in the reverse, 3 of Cups, the Star in the reverse. There seems to be some concern as to whether or not you are able to move forward from something that has happened in the past. Someone who has influenced you or betrayed you. Does not have to be a romantic ex. It could be like a former friend, but there's this concern that there is some unhealed energy from a past friendship or relationship, and that has caused them to kind of change their perspective, or they see you slightly differently because of this realization. And what is the next action from Geet for Suvik? Judgment, 6 of Wands, Empress, and the King of Cups in the reverse. This feels like allowing some compassion and emotion back into the perception of you. Maybe there was a little bit of coldness here. Maybe there was a tendency to judge you harshly. Maybe there was a desire to push you away. So, making something that you've done or said seem worse than it actually is. But this feels to me like really thinking over and over again about what was said, what was done on both sides, and how maybe they've been unfair. Maybe that, might have made the situation worse in terms of how they reacted or how they viewed the situation or you. All right, y'all, I'm going to leave it there. If you are a Stars or Tower member of the channel, make sure you come back in 30 minutes for our live stream, the members only one. Otherwise, I will see you on the next reading. Toodles.